Hey everyone, welcome back. And today we're going to talk about selling off your games. But before I go into that, I want to say May 31st, 1999 was the day that Star Ocean, the second story, came out in America. I looked up all kind of information about this game, and I was intrigued by it. The emotion system, the item system, traveling to other planets. I was just really wanted this game. This was going to be one of the first action RPGs I ever played. So, got it day one, loved it. I mean, I played the hell out of this game. I mean, it was just so, it was so crazy that my mom got pissed off because she had never seen me play a game like this before. I mean, I was like logging in hours, leveling up, doing the item create system, cooking system. I was doing everything in this game. And also, I was trying to pretty much get all 81 endings at the time, which the game had 81 variations of different endings. So I was trying to do everything to get them all, save my game. It was crazy, but it was a great time. But recently, there was a Facebook posting saying that, 20 years ago, Star Ocean, the second story, was released. I was like, wow, it's been 20 years, almost 20 years since I touched that game. So what I did, I picked it up and I started playing it again, and I had as much fun as I did 20 years ago playing it, It was just shocking to me that I enjoyed this game so much and I hadn't played it in years, you know what I mean? It was just crazy to me. It's just kind of funny how I could get so much joy out of RPG from back in the day than most of the RPGs today, I don't know. It seems like when I was playing a lot of these games, it was pretty much the golden era of RPGs, it was just a lot of our games in general, in my opinion. But, that could be argued against. But anyway, getting back to what this video was going to be about was, about selling off your games. So after playing Star Ocean, and even a little bit before Star Ocean, I started the anniversary, I really started looking at my collection of games. As you guys have seen in my game room tour, I have a lot of games, quality games. But I started looking at them harder, because, I was like, wow, how many of these games have I played? And I have played a lot of them, actually. So that's a good thing. But I looked at the Sega CD games, and I was like, a lot of the Sega CD stuff I got really cheap years ago when nobody was looking at it. And I had already sold off some of the collection before because they were just games I wasn't going to play anymore, or a game that I had a rare game that a friend might have needed to complete his collection. But what I did was, I really took another hard look, and I decided to sell some games off because I wasn't going to play them anymore. Now, before I go into detail about that, a few months ago, I had my Vectrex. Now, my Vectrex collection was looking really good, but when I went over to the Vectrex and I went to, actually turn it on again, it was caked in dust. I was like, oh my God, dude, I haven't turned this on since the game room tour video. And I actually sat down and started playing the Vectrex games, and I was like, man, I have no interest in playing these games anymore. It's just, they're just so outdated and just, I don't know. It's just, I just couldn't get into them. And, that was fine. I think what it was when I was buying those games so cheap, when you buy games really cheap, it gets addicting. You know what I mean? When I was buying a lot of this stuff, nobody cared about it. It was just cheap. And I got addicted to picking up games. Now, I felt these games were quality games that I would enjoy. That's why I picked them up. I just wasn't picking them up just to collect them. But, I played them and, put them down, and, putting down some games like that after some, excuse me, like putting down those games and not really playing them, after so many years, I'm like, wow, I have to really look at them, and I have no interest in playing these games anymore. So what I did, I gathered the Vectrex, all my Vectrex stuff, and I ended up selling it. And when I sold it, I didn't need the money or anything like that. I just didn't have room for it anymore because constantly I'm getting more games in that I actually am playing, and the Vectrex is just in the way. Now, most people could say, hey, Reggie, you should have just put it up, man, and I packed it away. No, that's not what I want to do, I want to give it to somebody who actually wants to play it and who really enjoys it. So I ended up selling it to a friend, and I had no regrets about it. I was actually relieved that, it was gone, because with me, it was just collecting dust. Even some of my Super Nintendo games, if you guys have watched my channel, you've seen how many Super Nintendo games I used to have. I started selling off a lot of that stuff because I hadn't played a lot of it, And with the SNES Classic here, I'm really enjoying like playing games on that. I have all the games that I own on that system, so I could just put the SNES Classic in and play the games in HD quality. So I sold off like games like Mega Man X 1, 2, and 3, Mega Man 7, got rid of those. I just didn't, I had no desire to really play them anymore, or own them anymore since I had the SNES Classic. So I was really good with that. Now, mind you, I didn't sell all my games. I still have some cart games, that I'm going to keep. There's most of the stuff I grew up with childhood, but more the newer stuff that I kind of experimented with, I kind of let that stuff go, and especially with the prices peaking, with what people were paying for that stuff. I said, it's a no-brainer. I could get something else I actually want to play. So I did that. So going back to the Sega CD stuff, the Sega CD has been a mixed bag for me over the years. I've actually destroyed 3 systems. Well, not destroyed, but I had some bad luck with a couple systems. One blew out on me. The other one just stopped working, and then one of them that I had for a while, I was running to the bus stop because I was about to miss my bus. My backpack was open and it fell out, and that thing shattered right in the middle of the street. And it was like, oh man, I was just pretty much done. But a few years ago, some associates of mine had got me a Sega CD, so that's how I got it for my birthday, and that's how I got it again. And I decided to collect some games for it. And Sonic CD has always been my number one favorite game for it. I like Batman Returns and Final Fight CD. Everything else after that was pretty much going to be experiment because those are the only games I owned for it back in the day. So I picked those games up, and I really enjoyed it. As with a bunch of other games, but going back and playing a lot of these games, it's just like I just didn't feel that I wanted to anymore. I sat down and tried to play the Lunar games. I own the Lunar games, and it's like I said before, save data is precious. My data got corrupted in the Sega CD system, and the backup card was acting weird. So, I just didn't like all the add-on. It's just something I just didn't really like about the Sega CD, especially with the memory. And I do like the Lunar games on the system, but I just really feel that the PS1 versions are the way to go when it comes to playing those games. Even though there is stuff I like about the Sega CD versions of the game, but the weird thing about the Sega CD to me, and it's always bugged me, is that it's not really its own system. It's an add-on. Some people could argue about the CDX, but that thing is cheap. I mean, that thing can bust easy on you, and I just never really felt the Sega CD had a really dedicated system. JVC maybe, I don't know, but I don't know. It was always weird with the Sega CD for me, so I decided to part ways with a lot of the games I own for it. So I'm not really going to be keeping much for it. But the real whole thing about this video was that I was trying to say, that my point in this video is, if you have games in your collection, and you're not playing them, and you don't think you have the desire to play them, you don't have to keep them for just keep them around. It's all right to sell that stuff. You know what I mean? Some people want you to keep stuff even though you don't play it because it looks cool or you want to impress people, but that's not how I am. If it's something that I'm not going to mess with anymore, it's time to move it along. I know a lot of stuff looks cool in our collection and everything, but just don't be afraid to sell it off because you might be able to use the money to get something you actually do want and want to play. I think a lot of stuff that's going on today is that a lot of people want to have an impressive collection to other people, and they're not really going off what they would want to really have in their collection. They just say, oh, I have this looks cool, like I got this little Samson or whatever, which is, that little Samson is a decent game, but it's like well, maybe that's a bad example because that's a game that most people will play because it's pretty solid. So here's an example: stadium events. Now, if I had stadium events in my collection, I would not want it in my collection because it's weird. It's like a money target. Like, someone goes in your game room, they see that, they're like, oh man, stadium events, let me see that. And, touching all on it and everything, you feel like something bad could happen and it could get stolen or damaged and everything like that, so it's like, that's something I wouldn't want in my collection, you know what I mean? Because I'm not going to play it, so I would end up selling it off and getting something that I do want in my collection. Now, though having a stadium events might look cool in your collection to some people, but I just wouldn't want to have something like that hanging around in my collection pretty much. to all you guys out there who feel that, you know, you need to have a big collection of games or whatnot, you know, that's not true at all. You know, just get what you really enjoy out there. You know, if you feel like you have too much, don't feel bad about selling it. You know what I mean? Because your collection is for you. It's not really to impress other people. I mean, I've never seen a guy try to, anybody or anyone in general just try to use a video game collection to impress somebody. I've seen some people do it, but if you've seen those type of guys, they're kind of weird. Don't feel bad about ever selling off your collection of games or some games in your collection if you feel like you have too much or you just don't want to play them anymore. There's nothing wrong with that, but make sure if you're going to do that, that you don't want to buy the game again, because if you eventually want to buy the game again, that's when you got to deal with like somebody selling it to you for a higher price that you want to pay, which is annoying. You know, a lot of people seem to buy games now just so they won't have to deal with like the game going up in price later, which is crazy. But with so many options, the way to play games nowadays, it's just a no-brainer sometimes, when a game is like pretty much capped off in how much value it's worth, you sometimes you just got to cash in, like the Mega Man X Legacy Collection that's coming out. I got rid of my X games, like I said before, and I got rid of my regular Mega Man games from Nintendo because there's an easier way to play them on modern televisions, and I could go play them live on the internet with people, which is great. And there's so many options on those versions of it. It's just, it seems like a better deal. I know a lot of people like to play on original hardware, but it's time. Sometimes sometimes it was funny. Sometimes you just got to get with the time sometimes, if that makes sense. Get time. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this short little talk. Hopefully it made sense to most of you guys. And I mean what I say, you know what I mean? If you want to get rid of some of your games, don't feel bad about doing it. You know what I mean? It's just something that we all do, and it's actually good for us. You know what I mean? So, anyways, guys, I'm starting to yammer on. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.